What is going on out there in Junkie Land? It's Kenshiro. We're back on a Thursday, live from Junkie Nation. Of course, as you can see on the screen, we got Miss Krusty, who looks a little bit different. What'd you do to your hair? What's going on there? It looks all natural and kinky and stuff like that.
Black girl magic.
Black girl magic. Okay,
Mhm.
we'll roll with that. And also on the show today is Mr. GQ. We're rolling kind of light and slim, and we're gonna really get it on. What's going on, friend?
Not too much, the usual.
Yeah,
Sitting here being better than everyone
everybody,
else
and we're blessed to have
with
you.
with my natural hair.
Yes,
So everything's going well.
your natural hair. Yes. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's get into the show. Obviously, we're gonna start. Today, we're gonna talk about a couple of different things. Number one was it's kind of a Black Thursday. It's like the axe fell on a lot of shows for the TV upfronts, and some shows were saved, but there were a lot of ones that went away that I was kind of surprised by, and ones that didn't get ordered to pilot series that I was very surprised by. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about Spider-Man is continuing a discussion that Josh and I had yesterday. We were talking about the relevance of Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War. We disagreed, but also Josh kind of fired off a little article in the discussion group today to kind of try and back up his little standpoint, which kind of got me all riled up again. So we'll debate that, and we'll also debate another shit post that I was kind of involved in concerning street level heroes and their validity over uh, world saving heroes per se.
So in
So
other words, we're cleaning up your messes today. That's interesting. This will be
I
fun.
I just happened to get caught up in this stuff. It wasn't me. It wasn't directed at me. It was just it offended me. So I had to say something. So first, let's get to the news of the day. The first news of the day, something that was kind of breaking, and it's relating to the TV upfronts and cancellation and renewals. We finally know the fate of Supergirl. She's going to live, but she's going to do it on another network. She's going to the CW. Is this a good move, bad move? Disappointed that that CBS didn't keep it, or looking forward to what's going to happen next?
I think it's a good move. Her moving to the to a different network, to the CW, means that she'll be under the watchful eye of all of the people at CW that are doing a good job with Flash. Um, Her show a bit more like Flash. I mean, I hate to say that it needs a copy, but
Hmm.
her Supergirl is I think even Philip said it in the discussion. Supergirl either needs to be a little bit more happy-go-lucky, or she needs to be more edgy, like she was in
The Red
the
Kryptonite episode.
Justice League cartoon.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah.
needs to. No. This is just the cartoon,
Okay.
because it's boring that, like, she's obviously, yes, the first one, they got to get their legs under them, they got to tell her origin and let people know what's up. But her character is just kind of bland on the show, and it doesn't work. I mean, I think that's part of the reason CB, because again, it's one of those scenarios where you have the superhero, but her support team is essentially what's running the show, and it's just like, okay, that's not really fun. And then the Flash episode had no real true ties to anything, outside of him being on the show. So I mean, it was like, yeah, you needed to be under the same house, at least, same network. And I don't know why they didn't start it off that way. They actually honestly should have. There's all of them should have just been CW shows. Just it just makes more sense, because it's like, look, you can at least do kind of what, I hate to bring it up again, Disney is having everything under one roof, and it's just like, look, if you need to borrow this or do that, you can do it. So just keep it going.
Ladies and gentlemen, a new challenger has entered the arena. He will be making himself known pretty soon. But GQ, actually, Krusty, why don't you kind of take over and weigh in on Supergirl? There he is. He's right there. Mr. Brian Crowder from Grizzly Bomb. What's up, my friend?
What's going on?
Hey,
Hi.
good to have you, sir. Good to be back.
I'm just having some late healthy dinner, McDonald's here.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. The dinner of winners everywhere.
Actually, hold on. What exactly are you having? Like, you're having what?
Big Mac.
Double
Quarter
quarter pounder with some orange high C.
Dude, Ooh, the
Nice.
double quarter pounder with a orange high
Nice.
C. There you go.
In my skinny days, when they used to have the triple quarter pounders, that was my go-to.
Okay, what? Oh
All right.
man, oh man. And what about the fries? How tall were your fries? Large,
Well,
medium?
just got a medium. We're gonna try and slim down, you know.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, okay. Got to
Either way
start
it
somewhere.
goes, either
Got
way
to
it
start.
goes, McDonald's send a check.
Yes, got to start somewhere. So anyway, Brian, we were in the midst of talking about the renewal of Supergirl and its move to the CW. What do you think of that? Is it a good move, bad move? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's a great move. I think when you look at CBS's target demographic, it's mostly like old people and dumb kids. And the CW has carved out a niche in which Supergirl will fit perfect. And you look at like the ratings for Supergirl on CBS were super low for them, but she averaged like over 7 million viewers. And you look at The Flash, I think their best episode ever was like 3.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
So if she can bring over even half of her audience to the CW, it'll be a huge hit for them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Agree.
and then you can open up more crossovers because the Flash and Supergirl episode I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah, I thought it was
Even
cool.
though CW got nothing, like they
I
didn't.
know.
She never appeared on Flash, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And a travesty of that also is that even in the episode that addressed Barry leaving his Earth to go to her Earth, he mentioned her not at all. I mean, didn't say a word about her. Said, "Oh my God, I met this Kryptonian girl. She could fly. She's super strong. She could see laser beams out of her eyes. She's got all this other kind of stuff that would just been like, oh, had Cisco going like, oh my God, I got to meet her or something like that. No, didn't mention her at all. So that was kind of a drop ball. Krusty, I don't know who the heck you were talking to, but get in here and weigh in on whether Supergirl
He's
moving to CW
probably
on.
broadcasting live.
I'm broadcasting live. Sorry, let me give me a second. YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook people.
Yeah, fine.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead. Give us.
I
your
don't
2
know
cents.
anything about the CW or Supergirl.
Well, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Now we can move right along.
No problem. Yeah.
Go back to Facebook Live and bring some
I do
people
what I
over.
do.
Yeah, do
No
what you do.
problem.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So moving right along, Supergirl was saved, but something else didn't even get off the ground, and that would be Marvel's Most Wanted. It's dead. The show that was supposed to star Bobby Mockingbird and Hunter, her ex-husband, who were excommunicated from Shield near the midway of the season. Now they really have nowhere to go. They're dead. We're not going to see Delroy Lindo as Dominic Fortune, which I'm crushed by. I thought he would have been incredible as Dominic Fortune. Now we're not going to see that. And what happened here? I mean, this show didn't get picked up the last year when they were rumored to do it, and now it's not being picked up again. What's going on? Is Marvel losing steam over there at ABC? What do you think, GQ?
I don't think it's so much losing steam. I think what it is you don't. Again, it's like, okay, what day do they have available to put this show on? I mean, I'm not really a big ABC watcher outside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you have this insane cinematic universe that they're basically steamrolling right now. So how exactly? I mean, again, yes, it would have been cool to have another Marvel show, but since it would essentially be so closely tied to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world, basically, because you got two main characters from that show.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what are you going to really tell? What are you going to do? Yes, you could probably do something amazing, but if Marvel was going to do another show to have some type of something in their cinematic universe, it'd have to be like outer space, honestly. And there ain't no way in hell they're going to bankroll that right now. I mean, I'm sure they can afford it, but just to keep things different, they got basically S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but they're not S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and they're running around doing missions. And, it's almost the same thing that's going on with Cap and his team now, the Secret Avengers type of, feel. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it would have just felt too similar in a way. So, I mean, maybe they just didn't, they were like, yeah, we don't even want to bother. Just bring them back onto the show probably is what's going to happen.
And it'll be interesting to see how that's going to work. Brian, what do you think? Is this a sign of trouble, or is this kind of much ado about nothing?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like they've ever really depended on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's been a luxury which they can throw, movie Easter eggs into. The I don't think it's ever achieved the ratings they wanted it to. Um, and I'm not totally crushed that they're not going to do the show so long as Adrian Palicki comes back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because
Amen.
she, for
Agreed.
a long time, she was the only reason worth watching.
She was
1,000%.
yeah, totally.
That woman is definitely fun to look at.
Yeah, I liked her on Friday nights. Friday Night Lights. I love her as Mockingbird. So the more Palicki, the better. But I I'm not crushed about the show. I'm more upset about the. I don't know if you guys talked about it before I got on, but the other Marvel show that got canned today.
Nope, we are going to talk about that right now. Thank you for that segue. I appreciate it. Another show finally met its end, and this one we kind of saw coming. Um, Peggy Carter is dead in Civil War, and she's dead in Marvel TV. Agent Carter is donezo over at ABC. Um, like I said, we kind of could see this one coming based on the. Even though I liked season 2, but I could just tell it wasn't hitting its ratings, it wasn't hitting its mark, it wasn't the novelty had quickly worn off, um, and I kind of saw I thought this it was really time to meet its end. They didn't really there was kind of a couple of mysteries they left hanging in the air, but I guess they'll just be hanging in the air. Um GQ, you and I both have an affinity for Haley Atwell. But on the plus side, she's going to still be on ABC because she's got a TV show that picked up named Conviction. So, you hurt by Agent Carter being gone or not? GQ.
I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, I mean, again, it will see that they made a little cool miniseries out of something that essentially was just a throwaway one shot. On the I think it was on the Captain America Winners. No, it was on the I forgot which DVD it was on, but it was just essentially originally a throwaway one shot, just like something that, hey, this would be kind of cool if we did this, and all of a sudden it's like it became the most popular one, all of them, and it's like, damn, I guess we could do a show. So it was cool, but I don't think it was something that was meant to have longevity, because after you do it once, it's like, okay, where do you go with it? Because it was a filler series, it wasn't even a true series. So it's like, well, where do you go now? I mean, you're founding Shield. I mean, you can only tell that for so long, and then we already know that we've seen her, show up in Ant-Man. So it's like, you kind of, it's run its course. So I mean, it's getting canceled is fine. But
Hmm.
yes, not having Haley Atwell in the Agent Carter look is kind of annoying. But who knows? Maybe her other show is gonna be kind of interesting too. But
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not really, again, a big ABC fan. So
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll check it out for her. What about you, Brian? Obviously, you're a little bit pained by this not being by her not being on TV. Is that what I'm getting from you?
Well, I mean, Haley Atwell is no Adrian Palicki. However,
Hey.
I adore the character. I wrote a piece not long ago about why Peggy Carter was such a linchpin in the MCU. She was our only real tie back to Cap's beginning. She started Shield, and then but on the show you see how much that she did. Fighting Hydra early on. I just really enjoyed the character. The show was not phenomenal. Season 1 was definitely better than season 2, but I thought the Howard Stark and Jarvis tie-ins were cool, and I didn't expect it to get a third season, but I was hoping.
You were expecting to get a third season. I kind
No,
of
I said
saw the writing
no,
on the wall. Oh, go ahead.
right. I said I was not expecting a
Oh, you
third
were not
season.
expecting a third. Okay, I misheard
Hoping.
you. I'm sorry. You were hoping. Okay, all right.
So I can't find my headset, so I don't know how well this mic works.
It's working. You're coming through pretty loud and fairly clear,
Okay.
so that works just fine. Okay, so I need to find Rob Eisenson in the chat is asking me what else was canceled besides Agent Carter. Well, Marvel's Most Wanted was canceled. Agent Carter, of course, was canceled. Nashville was canceled. Castle was canceled. What else was canceled? Over on CBS, CSI is finally done. The last CSI was canceled. It's over with. Um, I'm trying to think of some other things that I saw that got canceled.
The Brooklyn Brawler was
The
canceled.
yes, the Brooklyn Brawler was canceled from the WWE. Kind of a local thing for us, being from Detroit. He was with them for 30 something years, man. That's a long time. That's a long
Yeah.
time to be with the company.
He was definitely, as they called him, the ultimate jobber, but the dude
Indeed.
definitely had a lot of influence on pretty much everybody that's a superstar now. Usually for a lot of them, he was their first win. He was also a great developmental guy, even behind the scenes. Dadakuji, matter of fact, used to run to him at Costco a lot, so that was
Mm,
pretty cool. But I mean, it's just it was like The Rock. He was the first person that The Rock beat, officially. So I mean,
hmm
it's just like it's very cool that the guy had been around for all that time, and I stayed around behind the scenes. It just makes me wonder, like, was it just like he just wasn't being utilized behind the scenes recently? Because I mean, it's like, dude, you've had longevity.
hmm
Like the guy obviously knows wrestling,
hmm
regardless of his character getting wins or not. He was, obviously had a knowledge. That's not somebody that I would have easily let go. I would have, kept him on, because it's like, dude. I mean, unless he did something, but it's like that's you can't find that at just any old where. Like that's somebody that has more experience than anybody on the roster right now, minus the Undertaker. It's
hmm
like, dude, come on now. So it's like that's a wealth of knowledge that I would have held on to, regardless of whatever.
And what do you think, Brian, about the Brooklyn Brawler kind of being Dunzo?
I don't have a whole lot to add except that the term jobber is one of my all-time favorites. So I'm happy that made it in the discussion.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say of the other shows that you mentioned, I am glad that that Castle has been canned because the show's been mediocre for years, and I love Nathan Fillion, and that should
hmm
free him up to do something better.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the ever hopeful Firefly reunion, maybe, possibly.
Someday.
Someday, somehow, that show will live again. The show will live again. I know it. Anyway,
I gotta say, I can't think of anything else that lasted such a short period that has such a large and devoted fan following to it. Like
Twin
you go
Peaks.
out to, I was out in San Diego at Comic Con for the 10-year anniversary. Firefly, people are lined up 36 hours ahead of time. They have
Dude,
tents outside for the line to get into Hall H to see that panel. I mean,
that's
it's
serious.
when you see some of the other shows that are being brought back, and the fact that Firefly is not, um, it's amazing to me. Like, what is Fox doing? I know they got a movie, but still, it's that show really found its following after the movie was even out. Everybody found that on DVD.
hmm
Yeah,
So
and I think the other thing about that, I mean, that's very much like if that show does get a comeback and does do well, that essentially will become like our like in our lifetime our Star Trek, because the Star
mhm.
Trek series canceled after 3 seasons or whatever, and I was looking at it now. So I mean, Firefly canceled after one. For
Right.
it to have, it's got like it's honestly in a lot of cases it has like Star Wars, Star Trek cult following, like you said, waiting
Well, for
36 hours just to see people at Hall H. It's like, dude, if that comes back and does well, like, dude, that's gonna be Joss Whedon like the rock star all over again.
I do
Because
have
I mean that was. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, quick, cool thing about that. Around like 3 or 4 a.m., all those people that were sleeping in the tents waiting for that thing. Fillion, Adam Baldwin, Joss Whedon, a bunch of the cast. They baked cookies and brought them to the line and went through the line and were giving cookies to all the people waiting. I just thought that was really cool. They showed up at like 4 a.m. to give food to the fans. I thought that was a pretty good fan service there. But yeah,
Well,
the Star Trek comparison is apt, except the biggest difference is back then, yeah, Star Trek only got 3 seasons, but they had almost 100 episodes in that 3 seasons.
oh
Firefly
yeah,
got,
yeah.
what, 12? 12 or
hmm
13, something like that.
Yeah, yes,
hmm
yeah. Firefly, yeah. I know I got it on the shelf over there. Like you said, it had a second
Ton.
life in DVD. Because I mean, honestly, the crazy thing is, every time you see like, well, I shop at Best Buy almost exclusively. Best Buy sent the check. I freaking see like Firefly's, the complete season always offered. Like every time they have like some mention of like, oh, we got TV shows seasons on sale. Firefly is almost always printed up there too. And it's like, dude, that's been off the air for freaking 10 years, plus. But it's like they still, because it's that popular. It's crazy, but it's awesome.
That is the best example of Fox mismanaging a show I've ever seen. When you think about like when it was originally on, they aired the episodes. The episodes they did air, they aired out of order. They didn't show the pilot first. They took huge breaks in between episodes. You took a month off during the baseball playoffs. You had, and this is pre-DVR age too. I mean, they changed the time slot multiple times with no announcements. Like, even if you were trying to watch it when it was on, it was hard. Let alone, casual fans sticking with the show.
Yeah, cool. Let's move on real quick. I want to make a mention to a viewer that just find us. Sweet Asana, welcome to the show. You found us on Twitch. We hope that you hit us with a follow. Hit us with a follow, and you'll see a character on the screen. Let's see who you get. But let's move on real quick to actually. Hand of Omega says, did GQ ever actually watch Firefly? Is he a fan? I'm gonna hazard a guess. The answer is no. Am I wrong?
No, I have watched Fire. Dude,
Okay.
come on now. we were knee deep in Fantasticon when that show was around.
That's true. That is true. I forgot about that.
We were on top of all of that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Now, like Brian said, I personally didn't get it until after
Later.
they made the whole thing available.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, its air schedule was impossible to follow.
Yeah, but Tavis
So, it's
loved
like-
that show. He was always
that
talking
was-
about that
yeah,
show.
He was a huge
Fan of that show. Yeah,
Yeah, but
huge
like,
fan.
Yeah, but no, I after they finally released the whole season, the whole collection on DVD, it was like, okay, cool, I can finally sit down and watch the whole thing in order. Not trying to like, damn, did it come on this week? So that was an awesome show, and if Fox, like you said, could pull their heads out of their butts on that one and do it right, not like just do it because, oh damn, there's some money to be made over there. No, do it right. Then I would love to see it come back.
Oh yeah. But something I wanted to actually bring up to a couple of news rumors that are out there. One being the news that Lupita Nyong'o is up for a role in Marvel's Black Panther. Is that not an example of the rich getting richer? You're going to add an Oscar-winning actress to your slate of one of your most anticipated movies in the coming years. I mean, after Civil War, Black Panther has exploded. I mean, literally exploded in popularity. People can't wait to see his film, and adding her to that list as his love interest, no less, that's gonna be pretty dope. Thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised Lupita Nyong'o hasn't gotten more high-profile roles in the last few years.
Yeah.
Like when it was announced that she was cast in The Force Awakens, initially they didn't say it was going to be a CG character. I thought that was bullshit. Like, I don't know. You get one of the best up-and-coming black actresses working today, and you're going to put her to voice a CG character when, like, given all the fuss about like people more diversity in Star Wars.
She gets Colossus.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It seemed funny casting. Like, you get anybody to voice that role. So
here's the thing, and a quick interjection on that, and it's actually a joke, but it's the truth. Black people in space usually are under heavy makeup. Klingons, come on now, all the Klingons heavy makeup.
Yeah.
Black people in almost every space role. And I mean, I think they did it as a joke on either In Living Color or Saturday Night Live, but it's like, it's always some type of makeup job or whatever. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Firefly, though.
Oh,
Firefly,
no, exactly. Firefly's different. Firefly was
two of your main
I'm just saying,
characters
like,
are black, and
Yeah.
arguably the best villain in the show, too.
Was
Jubal
black.
Early, the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Bad.
you're right. No,
Bad.
I'm not saying there's not exceptions, but it's like especially like Star Trek was like one of the biggest even Next Generation Jordy.
Yeah.
Oh man, had the visor on through like all the show until you got to the movies. He finally like gave him like contacts. I'm like, dude, really?
Well,
like out of all this time.
What's funny about Star Trek too, you get like Uhura in the original is like groundbreaking. That's huge, like big for sci-fi and everything. And then you follow it up with Next Generation. You get Worf, heavy makeup, supposedly a badass, gets his ass kicked like every episode of the show.
Did he not? Yes, sir.
You get Reading Rainbow, Geordi LaForge, who was lame as shit. They're like, well, he's blind. He can't do anything. We're just going to throw him to the side.
Hey. I'm going to need you to back up off of Geordi LaForge, my friend. Hey, you need to chill with that.
Whoopi Goldberg with a fucking record on her head.
Okay. But Guinan was dropping knowledge, bro. Come on, man. She knew about the Borg before anybody did. You know, come on, man.
I'm not a Next Generation fan. I like the original series. I'm all Spock and Kirk.
Are you serious right now? Are you for real?
Oh, hell yeah. Next Generation is a big soap opera in space. Every episode is just them talking about their feelings.
Oh.
I want my captain going down to the planet and risking life and limb unnecessarily all the time.
This dude is completely on GQ's real side of things, because that's almost exactly what he would say. You know, come on, man. Next Generation was life changing. It was great. Yeah. It was great TV. Great TV. It was like must watch. It was crossover. I mean, seriously, I've never seen housewives get that deep into Star Trek that really weren't, you know, into Star. My mom, who was as casual as they get, was like in the Star Trek. I mean, sure, she didn't watch it every week, but like when it was when the last episode came on, it was like on the guide of TV, you know, on the cover of TV guide. I mean, dude, it was like must watch TV. You gotta watch the Star Trek finale. It was great. It was great.
Hey, I watched it. I watched it as a kid, but like I never watch it now. Whereas now I'll still occasionally turn on the original series. I think part of it is my old man's not overly geeky. He didn't read comic books. He's not into movies like I am. So I don't know where I got all my shit from. But the original Star Trek is his favorite show ever, and so we watched that constantly as a kid. And then we'd watch Next Generation every week, but I'd listen to the old man bitch about it the whole episode. You've never seen a man hate a show for so long and yet watch every episode.
Now look, tonally, yes, the original series was definitely different, and I know the original series with that little that little story that you told holds a certain level of affinity for you. Go ahead, GQ. My bad for cutting you off.
No, you're good. I think what it is, and especially if you're thinking in that type of thing, like a generational thing. Your dad would have grew up with like the old school sci-fi, you know, the stuff that we would call cheesy sci-fi back there or whatever. Yeah. But it's like Star Trek played off of that, but it was still advanced in a way. So I mean, it's like I can see where it's like it's not even so much a nostalgia thing. It's like, dude, for him, that is like, dude, you better give me like this, you know, action, sci-fi, and story, and it better be strong in the because it was, again, they were trying to, you know, as a show, not so much the characters, but the show, they were trying to prove themselves. Next Generation, it was going off of a very popular brand, and it was just like, okay, now we can focus on the feelings, like you said, and the characters. And Picard was just, you know, was a certain way. It's like Picard, if you compare him to Kirk, there's no comparison. Kirk is like just was a badass. He was a strategist and all that other sort of thing. Picard, master strategist without a doubt, but it was like he did, and you always like, dude, I need Kirk, man.
Yeah,
Kirk would have smacked the hell out of this dude. But I think that's why a lot of people like Cisco when he showed up. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, to me, when you watch the original, it's like Kirk. He plans everything off his gut, and that's why he's got Bones, he's got Spock and Sulu and Chekhov and Uhura and everybody has their own specialty and something they're good at. Whereas, like, Next Generation, I feel like Picard's making every decision, and everybody else there is mugging at the camera in their set dressing. Riker looks like he's got to take a dump at all times. Like, there's never a point where he doesn't look like he's just waiting for a break to run. And I just feel like Next Generation had a lot of like, good actors.
Riker was my dude. Come on, man. That's my
Riker
dude.
sucks.
Oh, you hurt me now. Come on, don't do that.
You got Riker versus Spock. That's your number twos on each show. There's no contest.
No, I'm not gonna argue that. That part I'm not gonna argue. Spock trumps all. But Riker was my dude. Number one. Come on, man. That's my dude. Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Dude,
Now.
Riker was macking on every girl on the ship. That was Riker's job. That's what he was supposed to be.
Riker was trying to
playing
be
the
Kirk, except Kirk
Right,
would have
exactly.
actually nailed every girl on the ship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I can understand that though for sure. Because Next Gen, its first season was like, whatever, and then it got better as it went on. But to
Mhm.
me, Next Generation shined the most in the movies, and not all of them. Just
Oh, definitely not
Generations
all
and
of them.
First Con-
Definitely
yeah,
not
just
all.
Generations and First Contact, and that's probably where I draw the line right there. Those two. Other than that, go away. I can't stand the other Next Generation movies.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna move on to the main topic, and one of the things that was kind of brought up was our old pal, the trouble starter himself, Josh Mundy, decided to post in the discussion group today whether he contends that Spider-Man was completely unnecessary to the plot of Civil War, didn't even really need to be in Civil War. And he's in the chat right now. So everybody in the chat that disagrees with him, make sure that you lob a Molotov cocktail at his direction, would you? So anyway, he posted an article, and I'll be pulling it up in a minute. That basically says that Spider-Man was wasted in Civil War and really served no purpose, and the movie could have been just as good without him in it. Now, Josh and I kind of got into this yesterday about whether Spider-Man served a purpose, and I kind of explained my position. So I'm going to let Brian and GQ kind of weigh in because they weren't on the show yesterday. Do either of you think that Spider-Man served a purpose being in Civil War other than just being a glorified cameo, and the movie would have been just fine without him?
I'll let GQ go first on this one.
Okay.
All right. Honestly, no. It was at its core. If you want to dumb it like all the way down to like first day of preschool, it was a glorified cameo. For me, it worked on different levels. It was obviously a business move. You don't get your big. You don't draft. I'm not a baseball fan, but you don't draft Miguel Cabrera, who can hit home runs. Probably not as much now, but as much as he used to be able to hit home runs, just to bring him in and sit him on the bench. You don't. That would be the dumbest possible thing you could do, especially if you're playing in the World Series. So, with that being said, you get Spider-Man back into the fold. You want to let the world know we've got our boy back, and here is how you've been waiting to see him. So for me, I don't care if they had the script finished. The second they found out that, hey, Spider-Man's coming back and we can work him in the Civil War,
Rewrite.
work him in the Civil War. Because as you can see, and rewrites happen all the time. As you can see, they're at 765 right now worldwide.
765 million.
Yeah, I think putting Spider-Man in probably is a big part of that because a lot of people got majorly excited for this movie the second they found out Spider-Man was in the film. Now, if you want to say that he doesn't fit into the plot, yeah, I think he kind of does. Regardless if you want to tie it to the comics, and I think that's where everybody's trying to get. Oh, he didn't do what he did in the comics and unmask. He was a rookie as far as this universe goes, so him unmasking would have meant nothing. So I'm just leaving that comic thing aside completely, just from a standpoint of if we just break down what was going on before that scene happened. Sorry if spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie by now, what rock have you been living under? Tony needed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The Vision, as far as he knew, was still gone base.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been him, War Machine, and Widow. And Panther was an unknown, so he didn't even know about Panther. Widow went down, was like, I got somebody downstairs. That's all he knew. He didn't know anything about their powers, blah, 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 or who even who it was. So he needed somebody that he had already been studying that he knew, hey, dude, this dude is strong as hell. He can be a wild card. Cap doesn't know anything about him, so he can't really set up a lot of strategy or plan for this guy because he doesn't even know he exists. So it's like there's a ton of different ways to see this as, yeah, it works. Could you have a story? Sure. Why would you? It's like you've got one of the biggest Marvel hero names finally back usable. I think, yeah, you're going to probably put him on and let him play. So, I mean, I probably talked a little too long on it, but I mean, that's just how it is. Like, it's insane to think, oh, yeah, we could have got rid of him. It's like, for what? You probably would have lost a couple $100 million because you had a lot of people that were going just to see if Marvel could do Spider-Man the way they all know that we can do Spider-Man. And Krusty might need to mute her mic.
Oh, gosh, she's always doing that. I
I'm glad I
swear.
wasn't talking about butts or something. Gee.
Gosh, she's always doing that. I swear. This girl can't never get it together. Ugh. Go ahead, Brian. Your 2 cents.
Well, as far as Spider-Man not being necessary in the movie, that's absolutely 100% true. What Spider-Man does, though, is he changes the tone. Now, the rumors were before the rewrite, before they acquired his rights, it was just going to be a bigger spotlight for Black Panther. And I don't think anybody would have complained seeing more screen time for Black Panther as Spidey not showed up. But Black Panther is a much more serious character. When you bring Spider-Man in, I think it added some definite comic relief in the center of the movie. And like GQ said, it's a definite business decision. Marvel's like, oh, we got – you got to remember, for years and years, Spider-Man was their number one. Before the X-Men blew up, before Wolverine got more popular, Spider-Man was always their moneymaker. And to reacquire his film rights, I mean, of course they have to use him. So, yeah, did you need him? Of course not. I mean, they could have easily written around, if the teams weren't totally even or whatever. Black Panther just kicks the shit out of 2 people instead of 1, But, no, I mean, he's right when he says Spider-Man wasn't necessary. But I thought it was a good way to intro the character. And, yeah, going to the comics, when you look at the comic storyline, Spidey is the sort of moral center of your story. He's like an emotional pillar in the middle, and you can't do that with him in here. So you're just going to make him comic relief. And he was great. He was the 20 or so minutes that he was in the movie were some would, arguably the best 20 minutes, right up there. So, no, did you need him? Of course not. But it was fun to have him in there. And he probably does add an extra 40 or 50 million to that box office. I mean, most people were going to see the movie regardless. But, yeah, Spider-Man, that's a business decision. And you're going to grab more kids with Spider-Man for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So.
In fact,
from a film standpoint, advancing the plot, of course you didn't need it.
Okay. Well, Princess Midna pretty much in the chat backs up your assertion that it part of it was a money grabbing thing to make money from children. She says Spider-Man is 50% comic relief and 50% make me money from children. Pretty astute. That's pretty astute. I like that.
One more thing it does do though, when they go into the Spider-Man solo movie, you can skip more of the origin story because nobody wants to see it. We saw it with Tobey Maguire. We saw it with Andrew Garfield. Everyone knows who the character is. So now by introducing him that way, it opens up. You need less exposition come time for the solo movie. So.
And I think the other thing that Spider-Man does, if you really want to, and again, I'm very good at finding other ways to look at things, I guess. One of the other things that Spider-Man does in that scene, if you notice and pay attention to Downey Jr.'s performance, he re-energizes Tony as far as like his stance of why am I a hero? If you just really pay close attention to like that whole scene, he's sitting there like, talking to him, and it's like Pete's giving his explanation of why he does what he does. And it's like you can just tell in Tony, it's like, dude, like, yeah, this is why we do what we do. And I feel more, not so much like Tony needs a confidence boost.
Mhm.
But like, it's like he probably feels better about his decision to like not only A, take this kid along, but B, yeah, Cap needs to basically realize this and understand this. That like, dude, we need to like freaking, you know, basically follow along with these accords. So it's like, yes, you could pluck that whole scene out of the movie and it won't really miss much of a beat. But to me, I'm sorry, it's like it fits in. Wrote it in, it fits. A lot of people were trying. It's jarring. There was so much tension building. You're supposed to break tension in movies. That's what Batman Superman completely forgot about. They were just like, yeah, let's just keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. And it's just like that's why that movie feels so long. Civil War. I went to go see it again. This past Sunday, I think it was. I didn't feel like I was sitting there for 2.5 hours. I was like, damn, it's over, because the pacing was perfect. So I get where people are saying that, yeah, you could pull them out, but I'm sorry, if you're trying to do a movie that people want to go see again and again, which apparently this movie definitely hit, you gotta have that levity in there, because then you notice Spider-Man scene and even the scene with Cap, Bucky, and Falcon came basically right after, because it was just like, dude, here's that moment of like, yeah, let's get a good laugh in real quick because we're about to go to war. Yeah, it wasn't real, nobody's gonna die war, but it was still good. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. The pacing in that film was spot on, and Spider-Man did what Spider-Man does. He makes you laugh and enjoy watching him. So, dude, again, I think people are just being nitpicky.
My man, people are being nitpicky. You hear that, Mr. Josh? And all you fools out there that say Spider-Man didn't have a place in Civil War, y'all being some nitpicky fools. What is this, payback from the whole BVS debacle that y'all had? What is this? This is nonsense. Y'all know Spider-Man served a purpose in this movie. Get out of here with this nonsense. Anyway, Krusty, I want you to weigh in with the way. Well, really, weigh in the way that you possibly can. Does Spider-Man serve a purpose in this movie for you? Like, would you have missed him if he wasn't in it?
I would. I think it was a good setup to the movie that they're going to make for him. I mean, because if you don't introduce him now, then when are you going to introduce him?
In his own movie, that's what they would say.
Well, I mean, I liked him in this movie. Can you turn the TV down? Thank you. I liked him in this movie. I think that the purpose was it showed that Tony Stark was desperate to have, someone else on his team, because he knows he can't really stand up to the other people. You know what I mean? Like, it shows that he was desperate enough to find somebody that he thinks would be a good fit and that he can mold and mentor or whatever to join him. And that showed that Tony Stark is, like, I don't know, whatever. Don't listen to me.
We usually don't, but I have something I need to say real quick before we move on. Mr. Josh Mundy in the chat, I'm going to find Chekhov's Weetle gun and I'm going to shoot you with it if you keep bringing it up. Just wanted to let you know that.
Hold on,
I'm gonna set the phaser to stun. I won't kill you.
Wait.
Yeah.
What is going on?
No. You're talking about the Chekhov's gun theory that he was talking about yesterday?
Yes.
Where if you introduce something and then put it on the mantle and then like you don't use it. Okay.
Then, yeah.
Here's the flaw in trying to use that analogy, because he's trying to say, essentially, for example, if you come into a room in a play or a film and they pay big, huge special attention to like a gun or some other object in the first act, but it never comes into play, peace. Spider-Man didn't show up in the first act. Spider-Man was smack dab in the middle, played a nice little role, was very instrumental to stopping Giant Man, and then he was knocked out. He didn't want to risk getting because he realized that, hey, this battle is done. It's moving on to the more personal battle, the very intimate, small third act. So Chekhov's gun doesn't really apply in this sense. I know he's trying to shoehorn it in there, but you can't.
He's trying hard, real hard.
You can try to lift him out as much as you want. He had a very good reason to be there. Yes, you could find ways to, lift him out of the script and flow. It's still, if now you're going to turn it into Batman Superman, because it's going to be butting heads, with nothing to break it up.
Mm-hmm. So
So very good
we'll
piece put
we'll,
in
we
that film every
yeah,
time.
absolutely. Enough with this foolish theory about Spider-Man not having a purpose. Let's move on to the shit post that I was kind of involved in today. And I mean, and this was just something that just drove me completely up the wall today. I was like, I couldn't even believe I was getting involved in this. It was done by someone that's acquainted. This is one of Krusty's people. Get on the screen, girl. Come here. Who is this
Don't
dude?
be blaming me for
No,
that
no.
nonsense.
Who no, who is this dude? He obviously knows you because you've tortured him before. Who is Jaquan Jones? Who is this cat? Who is this guy? Do you know him?
I met him. I met him on the EJOBN. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I met him on
Mm,
that group.
mm.
So
You met him in Jamal's group and brought him over,
yeah,
and he matriculated and he brought this nonsense to our discussion group. Thanks a lot for that. I
man,
appreciate that.
don't blame me. I
Yeah,
ain't
you
did
no, see when you were part of the Great Migration, as I like to call it, you brought a
nothing.
lot of people over with you because you have this effervescent, bubbly, airheady personality,
Let's just
and
say
it
what it is. It's
yeah.
my milkshakes.
Okay, your milkshakes and your added crotch fruit, whatever you want to call it, brought the people over, and then I have to deal with this nonsense today. This is what this dude said, right? Okay, I'm gonna even put it up on the screen for all of you to see. I want you guys to actually read and follow along with this crap that I had to deal with today. So right here on the screen, as you can see, let me close this real quick. Jaquan Jones says, I don't understand why people glorify street level comic characters. Street level comic characters including the Batman, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Spider Man, and the like. Okay? I mean, arguably speaking, they have more quality, but they're complete shit against certain threats. No one calls Spider Man or Blade when Juggernaut is rampaging. Now, he is correct in certain specs, but I immediately contended that I seem to recall, and Brian and GQ can back me up on this. There was an issue of Spider-Man that came out. I think it was like either in the 80s or something like that, where Spider-Man actually had to go against the Juggernaut because he was on his way to the X-Men mansion because he was going to beat up his half brother Charles. And while Juggernaut was walking through New York, going on a rampage, basically destroying everything in his path, Spider-Man endeavored to stop him. Couldn't, did everything he could to stop him. Just using his strength or whatever. Nothing was working. So he started using his head, ended up tricking Juggernaut into going into a big bed of cement. He sinks into the cement, it hardens, and he stopped. I said, okay, he's defeated. The Juggernaut loses at that point. It's over. The fight is over at that point. Spider-Man wins, right? Okay. This dude uses some of the most obtuse thinking I've ever seen to justify saying, oh no, the Juggernaut at full strength completely curb stomps the Hulk and Spider-Man and the like. And I'm like, really? Really? I just couldn't. I just couldn't deal with it. Crystal actually saw it for herself, and I hope I'm actually going to post it in the chat. I'm gonna post a link to this thing in the chat, and I want you guys to go. Krusty, you need to shut your mouth right now. With saying I need to lower my sodium intake. No, I'm not salty. It's the truth. I'm posting the link in the chat right now. I need some of you guys to actually go and see this thing, because I need
Hold
you.
on. Is it Juggernaut technically street level? I mean, I know he has like some insane unlimited power, but like, I mean, Gladiator beat his ass like nothing like one time. So isn't he kind of street level himself?
I mean, I technically yes, I guess, because he says he prefers power characters, right? He prefers power characters that deal with world-ending threats, right? threats that have to deal with a Galactus type thing or a Thanos type thing with the Infinity Gauntlet. Hello, Spider-Man was there. Spider-Man was there in the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, he didn't matter much of anything, but he was there because he's a worthy hero. That's what makes a hero. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not the level of threats that you fight. It's that you keep getting up to fight no matter who is against you. You don't just turn and run. But this guy was just saying something like that. I'm going to go try and find. But anyway, GQ and Brian, please, Krusty is useless in this discussion because she doesn't read comic books. But Brian,
I am Boo Boo Crumbs.
yes, you are complete boo boo crumbs in this regard. So why don't you Brian? Why don't you help me out here? This is nonsense.
Well, of course it's nonsense. Spider-Man is not like when you talk street level. I think Punisher, Daredevil, not Spider-Man. Spider-Man, there's not a major cosmic event or anything that happens in Marvel where Spider-Man's not involved. He used to be on the Fantastic Four. He's been on the Avengers. He is one of Marvel's centralized characters. There's nothing he doesn't do. Now, if you remember back, like old school comics, the original like Secret Wars, when Beyonder sucks all the major heroes over to the battle planet, and then they show like what's left in Manhattan, it's fucking Daredevil standing on a roof like, hey, where'd everybody just go? Daredevil don't get – I love Daredevil. He's the one not getting invited. Spider-Man, for sure, he's first-round draft pick. He's going. He's going every time. So, yeah. And I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan. I mean, I don't dislike him, but he's never been at the top of my list. But you got to give credit where credit's due. If he can fight the Rhino and he can, hold his own again. I mean, there's not a character in Marvel Spider-Man hasn't squared off against at least once.
Exactly. He's going up against everybody. I mean, come on. And he's like, one of the things he's trying to say is that he says the Juggernaut was put into cement and sank. He didn't die and he wasn't knocked out. So he still lost.
Well, most comic book characters don't get killed or knocked out on their first battle. It's like you still lose the fight. I mean, like, this is put it in boxing terms. I mean, there's been plenty of boxing matches that end without a knockout, but there's still a winner and a loser.
I even told this dude.
Knocked out is not the only way to lose.
I even told this dude right here. I said plenty of martial artists are defeated without being killed or knocked out. An L is an L is an L. Period.
Okay, this is what we're having problems with. What is street level? Can we have examples? Definition?
Punisher and Daredevil.
Punisher, Daredevil, Batman could be considered street level.
To simplify it, it's essentially your heroes that deal with your day-to-day thugs or your crime rings,
purse snatchers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man does do those things.
Right.
Spider-Man does do those things, but he also does everything else.
Yeah,
he does.
So so once you start getting into like your Hulks, basically what the Avengers do, the Avengers are not going to go out and start breaking up purse snatching rings. They're going to go after like major threats. So the Avengers wouldn't be street level. But at the same
Marvel Netflix.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, Marvel's Netflix series. That's street
those
level.
are all street level characters. Yes, those are all street level. Yeah.
Daredevil. That's your street level characters, and that's why they're not in the Avengers movies.
Right, exactly. And to continue, this guy, I'm going to go back to the post. He says the Hulk has been knocked out. Therefore, your comparison between Juggernaut being stopped over being outright killed or knocked out is flawed. And I said, no, your reasoning is flawed for what counts as a defeat. It's massively flawed. And he wants to change the standards basically to fit his narrative. And he's trying to say, well, Spider-Man didn't really win because he left. I said, how can we say the one who leaves first is the one who wins? Now, at this point, I know he's got to be completely trolling me. There's no way dude can be this obtuse. Ain't no way. I'm sorry.
You'd be surprised.
I guess I would be. Yeah.
I missed something then. Is he implying that the Juggernaut can't get knocked out?
Oh no, he's not saying. Well, actually, he was saying that at one point but I know that's obviously BS because Juggernaut has been laid out before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men 323 or whatever, right at the end of the original Age of Apocalypse, when it went back to original numbering.
Mm-hmm.
Storm and a couple other X-Men are downtown in street clothes, and they see this fucking thing flying through the air, and lands like a meteor. And no, it's Juggernaut just got his ass punched across the country by Onslaught, and he's all fucked up. So when I think Juggernaut, that's the comic I think of. He's a big bitch.
Yep, here it is right here. And and I tried to tell this dude, I tried to reason with him by saying that one of the primary reasons Juggernaut keeps getting defeated is because he's not terribly intelligent. I mean, he's one of the types that always thinks that might makes right, or like, the more powerful you are, the the more undefeatable you are, which is tacitly wrong. I mean, the reason Spider-Man beat him is because he used his brain, not his physical. He couldn't overpower Juggernaut, never. But he had to use his brains to beat him, and that's exactly what he does. That's exactly how Batman gets over on everybody. He outsmarts them. He outsmarts them.
That's at least 50% of Batman's victories.
Yeah.
I'd almost go beyond that. I almost even say 75. Just because anyway.
He can be as dumb as he wants. He'll still beat the Penguin or the Riddler in a fist fight. But when he's going up against Clayface or Killer Croc or something, then it's got to be.
Yep. And not only that, let's just be real. I mean, because I remember, I think he said something about he only goes off of the comics. Batman's beat the Hulk. So I mean,
I didn't want to go there.
I don't care.
I didn't want to go there.
I don't care how many people want to discount it. His technique made sense at the time, the way it was written, and Batman basically laid out the Hulk. So that happened, and let's just go back to Batman and Superman: Public Enemies. He basically got Darkseid to concede and stop what he was doing. Darkseid, the guy that routinely beats the living crap out of Superman whenever he feels like it. He got Darkseid to be like, you know what? He basically was like, I'm going to blow up your planet unless you let us go and do what we need to do. And he, Darkseid, gave in. Was like, damn, well played. Had, Superman or Wonder Woman tried that, I wouldn't have bought it. But you're crazy enough to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a street-level dude taking on a guy.
And if you want to talk about Batman, to me, I don't remember the exact issue, but during the Hush storyline, it was around 609 or something in Batman. They did sort of a slow motion, him versus the Poison Ivy controlled Superman, breaking down each step in Batman's head and how he has to be 12, 13, 14 steps ahead of Superman just to stay alive. The fact that that's how Batman constantly thinks is the reason that Batman kicks everyone's ass.
Exactly.
That is the character. Exactly. So when people who don't read comic books, especially before Batman Superman came out, everybody's like, well, how can Batman even stand up to Superman? It's because that is his character. His superpower is intelligence and tactician.
Exactly. Look, as much as I get freaking annoyed by the Bat. Actually, no, not by the Bat, because I love the Bat. I get annoyed by Batman fans that constantly bring up prep time. It came out like I was cursing or something like that. Dude. And in fact, Daido Kuji brought it up in the chat, and I'm kind of pissed that he did that. But anyway, I have to respect it.
Regardless,
I have to respect it.
Regardless of it becoming a meme, essentially, it's the truth.
It is
Batman
the truth.
Himself in the comics has never acknowledged prep time. He just is prepared.
He just does it. Yes, he's prepared.
Dude's smart enough. Like Brian said, he thinks ahead. He just sees. The dude has got files on how to bring down the Justice. Everybody in the Justice League, for the most part, is stronger than he is in some form or another.
But he's got contingency plans
that are on his level. But the dude is ready to. He has it ready to go to take down gods and monsters.
Exactly, because he's at the end of the day, he's a normal man. Yep.
Not only that, some of them are scared of him because of the fact that they know he'll use it.
Exactly. Like now to kind of wrap this up and kind of just finally put this thing to bed. And I have to tell you, everybody, it's been very enjoyable talking about this. It's been very therapeutic for me. Thank you for letting me get this out. Now, dude tries to say that dealing with lesser threats doesn't really make you a better hero.
Sorry. Dealing with lesser threats is the thankless job that kind of like makes the average person like, dude, why do you put up with that?
Because
I think the reason Batman puts up with it is because he knows that, look, he can't stop all crime, but
he'll
damn it,
stop
he's
as
gonna
much
make
as he
sure.
can.
Yeah, right. He's gonna get out there every night and go on patrol and stop people from like being in fear, scared in Gotham because it comes from where he came from. It's like he was, his parents got gunned down in front of him. He was scared, felt
Exactly.
helpless. He doesn't want anybody else to have that same feeling. And so he
Exactly.
goes out night after night and takes on these, psychopaths, crazy people, purse snatchers, muggers, whatever. But it's like, dude, it's a thankless job because it's a never ending thing.
Exactly.
So for Superman to like beat back like, some invasion, yeah, that's great. The world loves you for it. How often does that really happen?
Hardly ever. But
So
they
I mean,
still
I'm
get up and
sorry,
do
the
it.
street level, you
Yeah.
got them.
The
Yeah,
other
you gotta
thing,
respect the street level, dude, because this. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the other thing about the street level guys and the lesser threats, muggers, shit like that, and it doesn't happen as often now, but if you look back at comics, especially like in the 70s, which was real big, you had drug dealers and shit like that. Those are the guys that would get in the lucky shot. Like those are the guys where like maybe Batman isn't concentrating, maybe he's thinking about this kidnapping and where to find it, and he's wasting time beating these guys up. That's when he gets stabbed or shot. You look at year one, like how many times he almost got killed by regular burglars and shit. It's I think because that's when you show how much concentration he has to use to take on the big dogs, and when he's not thinking 100%, how vulnerable he is. So, I mean, those lesser threats, and you look back at Iron Fist, Luke Cage, that's a lot of what they dealt with, and now they're getting their own damn show. So there ain't nothing wrong with dealing with the lesser threats. You can't be facing Thanos every single week.
Exactly. Now, see, here's goes more of this ridiculous, obtuse thinking that this dude was putting out there, right? Because basically, at this point, we were starting to talk about what makes Spider-Man and street level heroes so important. And Iron Man explained it because they were looking for Spider-Man. It was an issue of Avengers, and the Triathlon actually brought this up and saying, why are we looking for? What's so important about Spider-Man? Why are we looking for this guy? And Iron Man explained that. That Spider-Man and Luke Cage and Daredevil and them, they were necessary to deal with the street level crimes and criminal organizations, because if it wasn't for them, then people like the Avengers would be wasting their time and wasting their resources stopping rampant crime everywhere. They'd be wasting it, and they wouldn't be able to worry about the bigger picture, the bigger threats and stuff like that. That's what makes them so important. And he was like, then he said, dealing with the lesser threats doesn't make you a better hero. He said, if that's the case, then regular cops must look at mall cops like they're the GOAT. Huh?
Honestly, my father was a police officer. I can definitely speak to that if you really want me to.
Please do. Please do.
Let's just be real. It's like, if not for the mall cops, then the little crimes and things that go on in malls that make basically malls unsafe and get malls shut down, and essentially mess up
Chucks
the
is a basic
economy.
bitch.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Essentially
That was funny.
Essentially mess up the economy in an area. Like, for example, let's just take Northland, for example. Northland, when it first started, was one of the first malls in this country. So Northland, not super high upscale, was a nice, great mall. The mall, the security and everything, obviously there was a little small police station right there. The mall security, basically keeping it safe, is what kept that mall running. And if you start to not have security guards and you start to have more, shoplifting or crime or whatever, the store owners are not going to want to tolerate it. They're going to leave. The economy is going to go down in the area. This is going to become a bad area because now you've got a whole bunch of people just hanging around the mall causing trouble. So everything builds on everything. And let's just be realistic. You get high crime areas because you don't have people that are keeping the crime down. So that makes the police's job even harder. Now you got a high crime area where it's very unlikely thing done because it's a high crime area now. So I mean, if it's, like you said, it's very obtuse thinking to not be able to, like, hey, guess what? This builds on that, and that builds on this. It's the same exact way in comic books and street level versus Avengers level and Galaxy Savers and blah blah blah. All of them need each other in one form or another.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for saying that.
Just to say off of power level. Yeah, just to stay off of power level, like for real, do you want Superman saving cats out of trees all
all
the time?
day, right? All day long? Are
Or
you
would you
kidding me?
rather or would you rather Superman be able to fight his, major battles against like Thanos? I'm sorry, against Darkseid and all the other, various, galaxy villains, and also have the support of like the other people that can handle those smaller tasks. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, it's
exactly.
common sense.
Yeah, it is exactly common sense. So, I kind of called him out on his obtuse thinking, and I'll sum it up with this, and then we can get out of here. I said loss prevention and breaking up fights in an enclosed mall isn't the same as handling car thieves and murderers. They view the mall security as something necessary, as they can't be everywhere. They can't, but they handle the threats and concerns that are fitting with the level of their infraction. So, however, when necessary, the big guns are called to step in, pretty much just like comic books, right? The point that he's willfully glossing over in his previously stated bias of preferring like level omega level threats or world ending threats is that they're all important, street level and the big guns. They're all important. They all have a part to play. And he says, then he tried to say some other stuff about saying that they're all important in their own right, but however, some are obviously more important than others. Psh. So I just finally hit him with something that Crystal and you also GQ would very well appreciate. Say yet to him the lesser heroes who aren't worth shit aren't worth shit, and he has narrow view on heroism, and I just said, you know what? He needs to stay woke. He's asleep. Otepery at his finest.
Get enlightened.
Get
That's what you told him.
enlightened. Yeah, he
Hmm.
needs to get enlightened,
Well,
and that pretty much put him off his spot, and I pretty much hit him with the got him meme, and that was done.
but and to that point too, when you talk about like cosmic events versus like smaller events, from a pure storytelling aspect, because remember, comic books are, I mean, it's a medium for entertainment. We can't take everything, as scripture. Not everything is supposed to be um, totally serious all the time. It's much easier to relate on, you look at like the War Game storyline in Batman where Stephanie Brown got killed. That's a much more personal, smaller story. Or you deal with, go back to the 70s, Green Arrow and Green Lantern dealing with like drug addiction and stuff. Oh, Spidey was hooked on heroin. These are more smaller personal stories. When you go cosmic, something like the Secret Wars, what do? They kill literally everyone, and then a snap finger, they bring them back to life. And ever since Superman died in '93 or whenever it was, deaths in comics don't carry weight anymore because now literally everyone comes back. Which a lot of people don't remember. Before Superman, that wasn't the case. I mean, occasionally a character would come back, but now it's like, look how many major characters have died since Superman. You got Batman, you got the Human Torch, Captain America. I mean, you go down the list, it's like, it's unbelievable. They've even brought back, Bucky's back from the dead. Jason Todd's back from the dead.
Freaking Uncle Ben and Gwen Stacy are back from the dead.
Unkillable characters. There was only a handful, or not unkillable, but rather what should have been unresurrectable. There was only a handful of characters that for a long time you were not allowed to bring back, and it was, and Uncle Jason Ben. Todd was at the end of that, but Bucky, Uncle Ben, Thomas and Martha Wayne, Gwen Stacy. I mean, there weren't a ton of them, so now that you brought back pretty much all of them, it's lessened. It's lessened the impact.
And it all started with Superman. It's all his fault.
Right. You think about like when Batman died in Final Crisis or whatever. No one was. It was just like, okay, how long until Bruce is back?
Exactly.
We'll sit here for a year. And I like Dick Grayson. The Batman and Robin comic. Dick Grayson Damian was great.
I thought it was great too. Thought it was some great stuff.
There was never any doubt Batman was going to come back. But that's what happens. If you're going to go cosmic, the only way to make it relatable to the reader is to kill a familiar character. Even go Crisis on Infinite Earths. They kill off the Flash and Supergirl. So it's just the smaller, more personal stories are what make you love the characters.
Here's the only one that is still left, and Hand of Omega actually brought it up. But sadly, Hand of Omega, that might be about to end. The only one that died and pretty much kind of stayed dead was Captain Marvel. Marvel was about the only one that died. When he died of cancer, That was it. He stayed dead. But
That's
there.
because he was a fucking jobber. And nobody.
But supposedly Marvel is teasing his probable return. So
Of course they are.
we'll have to see if that's actually gonna end up being the case. I mean, hell, Wolverine's dead, and I'm just counting the days until I mean, even though old man Logan's around, you know, young Logan's gonna come back at some point. They can't resist it. They can't. So, but anyway, any case, guys, it's been a great show. It's after 11. We were glad we were able to stay. You were able to stay up with us, so we can help tuck you into bed. We hope you have an enjoyable rest of your evening. Tomorrow is going to be Friday's show, and that show is completely random. We'll have to do some fun stuff. I don't know what in the hell we're going to do, but it usually always ends up with a lot of laughs, some libations on the part of some people of the crew. Like, let's see, if Miao Yin is on, she'll have her a nice red wine. If Philip 2.0 is on, he'll be throwing back some brewskis because he loves some beer. Dadakuji as well. So anyway, and we'll
I'll be
also,
turning up too.
yes, she'll be turning up too, and she really doesn't need to because she's got that ripening crotch for it.
Bottoms up,
Yeah.
bottoms up.
Yeah, she really doesn't. Yeah. Oh, Josh Mundy says it right there. Marvel was the Brooklyn Brawler of the Marvel Universe. Yes, he was. So, in any case, tune in tomorrow. We'll unveil the winning name of our new show. I'm gonna post a link to the poll in the chat. If you guys haven't been over there to see it yet, you need to kind of get over there and look at it because. We're going to end the voting before the show tomorrow, and I want you all to have your input counted. If you have a separate name that you can think of, I want you to enter it, and it will be considered. But the voting will end probably at like around 9:30 tomorrow, and we'll announce the name live here on the show. So until tomorrow, for GQ, for our guest Brian Croner, thank you for coming back, man. It was great to have you on the last second. For Krusty, I'm Kishiro. See you guys tomorrow. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.